Ever want to know what favoritism in broad daylight looks like? Episode 3 of Season 18 doesn't quite suggest it. It almost screams it, using a megaphone. Christine comes out, camera and all, and confesses something shocking. She went to Kody for assistance. And what did he do? Just a hard, flat refusal. No caution, no justification, just no. And on cue, production cuts to Kody relaxing on the couch, gravely detailing how Kody is just so swamped. And then we have a tidy little montage of Kody living life large, playing Mr. Perfect Dad with Robyn's kids. A full-on favoritism highlight reel, and it all comes full circle with Robyn detailing, "That's why I had childcare help," just as a picture flashes on screen of her children, and, yep, my Keltie, Christine's daughter. Let that absorb. My Keltie wasn't assisting like a dutiful family member. She was the child care, not a helping hand from a sister, not a one-time babysitter. She was Robyn's in her whole parenting life parenting crutch. Meanwhile, Christine? She was mothering 12 kids, 13 if you include Truly. 12 of them, whose mother had abandoned them in addition to being pregnant with a high-risk baby, working nights, and managing somehow to keep them all afloat. And Robyn? She couldn't handle 3 kids. No job. Not pregnant. Not even in the same state as Christine. So, what does she do? She borrows Christine's kid to live motherhood. That's right. Christine was doing it on hard mode, and Robyn needed Christine's child just to stay afloat on easy. And let's not forget, Christine was gardening, canning, and even baking hamburger buns from scratch. She didn't avoid help because she didn't need it. She didn't have the luxury of being lazy. In the old days, moms had a dozen children, cooked every meal, stitched their own clothes, cleaned the house till it shone, and they made do. Christine? She pretty much did all that. Robyn? 3 children, a husband on standby, assistants, and still couldn't get it together. And the bitter reality? Robyn wouldn't have even had my Keltie a sister if Christine hadn't taught her daughter from day one. Robyn's been sucking resources dry from the family for years, playing dumb, and stupidly still having the nerve to look directly into the camera like she's a victim. She stares straight into the camera, eyes wide open, acting dumbfounded when people mention favoritism. Girl, please. The receipts are stacking up, and today, we're breaking down all of them. We have a lot to dissect in this episode, so let's not waste time. Let's get right into it. Let's begin with what Kody shared with Robyn. Not that he misses his kids, but that he misses the love he used to receive from them. Translation? He's pining for the pedestal they used to put him on. Standard Kody behavior. He and Robyn are masters of speaking in general, ethereal sentences, the family dynamic, the holiday atmosphere, the bond. But never in a million years do they ever actually state they miss individuals. It's as if their kids and the sister wives aren't human beings to them, but rather background scenery in their constant emotional soap opera. But you know who wasn't gullible? Meri. And she called them out hard. Meri did step forward and volunteered to have a large family Christmas, something Robyn always feigned a desire for. She bluntly asked Robyn why she never phones, why she won't allow her to come over. And what did Robyn respond? Nothing whatsoever. Radio silence. Meri even arrived coatless in cold weather, and still wasn't invited in. This was Meri's power move. She hung on for years, not because she didn't see the truth, but to prove a point, that no matter how hard a wife tries, Kody will never truly show up. And when he finally did, cameras were rolling. It was 2 full weeks after Leon had left. And what did he reveal? That he doesn't call, doesn't visit, doesn't even try to fake effort. The reality was tough to swallow, Kody and Robyn don't crave the fantasies they continue to peddle to the world, even when someone presents them with their fantasy, ribbon-tied, available to take. They won't take it. Instead, they break down an inch shy of the goal line and sob that someone is holding them back. So now the question is Kody finally regretting blowing up his whole family over Robyn? Because the fans are seeing something. In the last episode, there's a flicker, a spark of bewilderment, possibly even hurt. Like he's contemplating, wait, didn't that happen as a result of what Robyn desired? Just us? And yet, there she is, still in tears. While the family he controlled like a king once upon a time, they're moving on. Similar to a king with no kingdom, only the echo of his own solitude ringing in his ears, Kody constructed this throne of dysfunction, and now he's sitting on it. By himself. Kody strategically positioned his kids as pawns in an emotional blame chess game. It's the classic, if you want to be loved, be lovable, guilt trip, but inside out. Essentially, if I don't love you, your fault. Classic Oakview stuff. And then Janelle, bless her heart, appears and delivers one-liners like she's been holding out on us for years. She came at them hard this episode, and it was beautiful. When she suggested Robyn's been manipulating Kody? Savage. You know she did it to spite them. And it worked. Because for years, Kody and Robyn shouted to anyone who'd hear that nobody controls him, that he's the leader of the family. And now? Kody himself acknowledges that Robyn bullied him into staying with Meri, claiming he would have broken up with her a long time ago if it weren't for her. And Janelle? She pounced. She spun that knife around a smile, and you could practically hear Kody's ego shattering under the weight. Seething in silence, no doubt. Perhaps even confronted. Surprise. You are being manipulated by your demure, pretty-faced wife. Janelle was not holding anything back. That little remark, I don't think anyone is really thinking about Kody and Robyn. Solid gold. Chilling. Exact. Savage. And true. It's crazy how Kody and Robyn continue to self-sabotage, but only now, in this season, have the other wives been brave enough to say it aloud. They're not coddling him anymore. And it is just so gratifying to see. I don't think any other tell-all host will have that same passion. But for the time being, we get to sit back and enjoy the slow roast, one snarky comment at a time. Janelle understands how to rile Kody up because, come on, he's been riling her up for years. This is her tit-for-tat period, and she's loving every minute of it. And the icing on the cake? They're finally finished keeping his secrets. How lovely is that? Seriously, I'm kind of hoping they do another playback episode similar to what we saw last season. Because Kody and Robyn viewing themselves? That's chaos just waiting to erupt. You know they'd be furious. What audiences tend to overlook about this show, and what makes it strangely relatable, is that much of the drama with the OG3 is actually just that typical midlife awakening. That late 40s, early 50s transition. I didn't quite appreciate it until I reached that point myself, but gosh, it's a move of power. You reach that age, and overnight, it's all about your ride or dies, your tranquility, and giving zero energy to anything that doesn't make you better. Savage? Possibly. Freeing? Definitely. And on a surprise note, I caught a glimpse of my Keltie jumping in to defend Kody during all that quilt drama. You ever witness someone defend the wrong person so hard it makes your head spin? Yeah. Buckle up, because this next part is pure delusion with a dash of daddy worship. Drama? Oh, absolutely. And wow, talk about selective hearing. Is my Keltie patching things up with Kody? Or is she just so deep in her anti-Meri feelings that she's willing to paint Meri as the villain for cutting up a quilt? Let's get one thing clear. I'm no big Meri fan. But this time, she actually made the most sense. All she wanted was her own fabrics returned to her from the quilt. She didn't rip up Kody's side. She literally gave it to him. But for some reason, that simple concept flew right over Mykelti's head. Instead, she goes off on this rant like she's got the inside track, rambling out of her. Well, and then she says Meri's list, the one detailing who wanted what, is staged. Except both Meri and Kody verified it last episode. But hey, Mykelti's now the new family historian, it seems. She doesn't recall it, so in her head, it never happened. Classic case of, if I don't know about it, it's not real. And her bias? Crystal clear. She admits it, until her dad says anything kind about Meri. Then she's suddenly offended, perplexed, and backtracking like it's her job. The kicker? She saw that clip and immediately branded Meri petty. But immediately following, the real scene reveals Kody confessing he inquired about those shirts, and Meri reminding him they already had them on the quilt. So it was no heartless, snarky gesture. It was considerate, even respectful. But rather than saying, all right, maybe Dad's the petty one in this, dwelling on old drama nobody's been interested in for 20+ years, Mykelti goes full steam ahead, all on Meri. And you know why? Because it's classic. Same vibe as Kody and Robyn. Deflect, divert, and derail whenever the truth comes too close to home. Talking about Robyn, let's discuss her fixation with the so-called core family. If you haven't already caught on, that essentially means only the children still living at her household. That aside about the other wives spending time with their adult children, rather than the core, says it all. She doesn't understand. She never has understood. Seriously, in what universe do Christine and Janelle pick a holiday with only truly Savannah, and whoever Robyn's taking that? Only in Robyn's fantasy land, where emotional labor is optional and accountability doesn't exist. A gaggle of grandkids and zero drama, that's the holiday dream, right? But let's be real. Would Robyn ever spend Christmas away from her biological kids just to be with more of the other kids? Nope. Not in this lifetime. And look, we're not saying that's a crime. It's totally normal to want to be with your kids. But here's where it gets ridiculous. Robyn wants everyone else to treat her crew like they're the core family, when that moniker actually has no meaning anymore. Perhaps by core, she actually means the family that lives in Flagstaff. But even that's stretching it, because a whole bunch of the kids never left. How ironic that once the parents left, the kids were suddenly bumped out of core status. Picture being 20, residing hours from your siblings and parents, and then learning that, surprise, you're no longer part of the real family unit. Cold. And for someone who constantly calls herself an empath, Robyn sure lacks basic empathy for anyone outside of her immediate bubble. Maybe she's only an empath when it comes to Dapsark. This right here was the most revealing moment of the episode. Labeling only the ones still at home, or conveniently in Flagstaff, as the core family? That's not only selfish, it's downright rude to all the grown-up kids who've established their own lives. And worse, it indicates how out of touch Robyn and Kody are with reality. They actually think Christine and Janelle would blow off grandbabies and adult kids just to play house with Robyn and her little posse? Seriously. Give me a break. And the irony? Robyn's grown-up daughters live right there on the same property. Her independent college grad son is camped out in an RV in the backyard, so she really doesn't have to give anything up. Of course she expects to get away with making these demands. She's never had to sacrifice anything herself. Let's be realistic. Robyn really doesn't care where anyone spends the holidays. She's just bitter that the other wives have begun filming Christmas vignettes without her. It used to be so much easier when she could rely on them. Arrive at someone else's tidy, nicely decorated house with a jar of olives, smile for the cameras, and bounce. But now, The nanny is operating a full-time circus, cooking, cleaning, childcare, and Robyn gets to host and shoot her own scenes. This most certainly was not the future of her dreams that she enlisted for. And now they wish to change the spotlight onto the kids who relocated? Wow. Revolutionary, you mean? Like what real parents do when their children grow up. Imagine that. Imagine having to exert a little bit more effort to keep the relationship intact. Wild idea, no? Those relocated kids? Yeah, those have children of their own now. So the plan was to be centered on the grandkids. Astonishing. Pioneering. So unnatural. Unless you're a typical parent. Of course, however, Robyn can't sit idly by while that occurs. Nope. She must remain center stage, because if Robyn isn't the focal point of the production, she doesn't care. Sincerely, I would have enjoyed listening to her ingenious opinion on what they might have been concentrating on otherwise. She's playing like she's the family sage, but can't tell me why staying with your adult children and grandchildren is somehow wrong? What is even her reasoning? Once your children leave home, you just stop loving them or something. That's why her own ripe tenders are still strewn around the house like it's a polygamist Airbnb, right? Robyn's take on motherhood includes the wives drifting through their houses like specters, apparently, just waiting around for their tangy husband to swing by, or perhaps favor them with a fire pit fight once a lunar cycle. Totally ridiculous. No wonder Robyn doesn't have friends. Who would want to hang around that energy vacuum? So I'm watching Season 8, Episode 3 again, and it's worse than I remembered. Christine completely loses her mind over Kody inviting his friend Ken on a family vacation. Why? Because Ken had been throwing shade on polygamy. Looks like a pretty fair boundary, huh? But naturally, rather than anyone standing up for her, the show makes Christine the villain. She gets gaslit into the full-on apology. Not for being rude, but for having an opinion. Heaven forbid a wife ever speak her mind on this show. Enter Kody's Mr. Peacemaker routine. He rounds everyone up for a group prayer, because that'll clearly wipe the discomfort away. Then he takes Christine aside like she's some delicate little porcelain doll who can't deal with public conflict. And you know what? Christine handled herself better than most people ever could in that hot mess. And somehow, by the end of the episode, she's been guilt-tripped into thinking she's the one at fault, just for speaking her mind about not wanting to vacation with a man who doesn't respect her life. Let's not forget about Janelle's strange move in that episode either. She nonchalantly brings up the suggestion of hanging out with Ken, Christine's clear sore subject, and then just sits back like, what? Did I say something? Read the room, girl. So to get back to that episode, Janelle just sits back and lets the drama play out. Total backstabber energy. Let's get real. It wasn't Kody who pushed the notion of Ken hanging out. It was Janelle who breezed out that grenade. Unpopular opinion alert. Janelle didn't become close to Christine because of sisterhood and trauma bonding. She became close because her own kids were getting close to Christine. Even Gabe laid it out. Christine was our primary caregiver. Boom. Mic drop. So yeah, that friendship. It had an agenda. And now we're all pretending it was some deep sister-wife connection? Please. Okay, sidebar, but a relevant one. How in the actual polygamous time warp did these people have so many kids? No joke. Conception windows are tight. Even in a monogamous relationship, trying to nail that timing is like a math test, mixed with a scavenger hunt. And yet somehow, Kody got all of these wives pregnant over and over again, cycling through 3 or 4 different households, not romance. That's an Olympic-level baby-making hustle. No downtime, no rest days, no I'm just here for the snacks nights. Every night was apparently game night. Not saying I pity him because, blech, no, but logistically. That's a lot. I just gave birth to my third and final child, and time it perfectly was more difficult than trying to explain polygamy to a Gen Z group chat. I vaguely recall one season when a wife was attempting to conceive, so she received extra nights with Kody. Rotational override activated. It was barely spoken about, but it occurred. Between Kody's self-declared alpha status and the wives probably keeping tabs on their cycles like a lunar mission, they probably turned baby-making into a strategic operation. So, let's talk about Kody's alleged thing for curvier women. According to the show, he just loves a soft figure. Curves, real women. The whole "I love them thick" narrative. But yeah, I'm not buying it. Feels more like something he and Robyn scripted to make his laser-focused obsession with Robyn seem less obvious. You know, toss the other wives a pity compliment while he's psyching out new jewelry for Robyn. Remember that one time when Robyn made everyone custom t-shirts and she accidentally got Janelle's order in a size too small? Classic mean girl maneuver. But rather than gripe, Janelle just slipped it on. And voila, that shirt clung to every curve. Cue the cringe-worthy silence and gee thanks vibes. So, there's Janelle, crushing it in that clingy shirt like a pro, and instantly everyone's losing their minds. She looks incredible. She's so voluptuous. And Kody? He's standing over there staring at her like she's the final piece of pizza at a Super Bowl gathering. And meanwhile, poor Robyn is visibly not stoked. You could almost see the steam coming off. Let's roll back, though. Meri was as skinny as a rail when she married Kody. And Christine? Kody insulted her weight outright in the most insidious possible manner, essentially suggesting she was less good-looking. So perhaps, just perhaps, Robyn fabricated this entire "Kody has a thing for plus-sized women" myth so she could feel special. As if it wasn't merely that he's fixated on her, it's a type issue. Completely sound coping mechanism, right? The twist is, though, Kody plays this skinny versus voluptuous game like a warped pro. Tells the skinny wives he loves curves, tells the curvy wives he loves thin women. Genius? Maybe. Toxic? Absolutely. It keeps them all just insecure enough to pursue his approval. Meanwhile, he's just your run-of-the-mill, middle-aged, mediocre, emotionally stunted, fragile ego-having bro who got way too used to being the center of the universe. And let's not forget this little nugget. Janelle is the sole ex-wife Kody ever seems even remotely interested in making up with. Go figure. Leave your theories in the comments. Do you believe Kody actually has a type? Is Robyn really jealous of Janelle? And what do you guys think Kody's ultimate goal is now? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next in-depth video. Thanks for watching, and as always, lots of love to you guys.